The Raiders' bad days don't seem to end. In the last 10 days, the Raiders have lost two top coaches they were looking to hire, Mike Vrabel and Ben Johnson. So, what options are left for the Raiders now, and how will they approach the 2025 season as a rebuilding year? Let's have a look at it. What's up, buddies? Welcome back. If you are new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We cover all AFC West news here on this channel. As you all know, the Raiders situation, they fired their coach, Antonio Pierce, and their general manager, Tom Telesco, right after the painful exit from the 2024 regular season. Immediately, a hiring committee was formed containing Mark Davis and 4 minority owners. Tom Brady, Silver Lake co-CEO, and managing partner Egon Durbin, Discoveryland founder and chairman Michael Meldman, and Knighthead International co-chairman Tom Wagner. Additionally, the Raiders have hired Jed Hughes to search for a coach and GM who belongs to the Korn Ferry search firm, well known for this purpose. It was Hughes who helped place Pete Carroll with the Seahawks in 2010. The problem is that other teams have hired the Raiders' top coaching option. On January 12th, Mike Vrabel joined the New England Patriots. And on January 20th, Ben Johnson joined the Chicago Bears as head coach. According to Vrabel, there are many factors that made him prioritize the Patriots over other teams, such as his strong connection with owners Robert and Jonathan Kraft, and most importantly, the promising young quarterback Drake May. The 22-year-old quarterback showed immense potential in his rookie season, and Vrabel has expressed his intention to gather as much talent around May as possible in the future to fully unlock the quarterback's capabilities. Similarly, Lions' offensive coordinator Ben Johnson's agency, Priority Sports, has announced that he will be becoming the head coach of the Chicago Bears for the 2025 season. This is a massive blow because everything pointed to the Raiders going all in for Ben Johnson. That seemed to be the driving reason behind parting ways with general manager Tom Telesco, even though Telesco did a solid job in this year's NFL draft. The Raiders were clearly making room for Ben Johnson to come in and take over. They completely cleaned the house, letting go of Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco. This offseason was also the first time Tom Brady had some level of input on how football operations would run with the Raiders. It really felt like Brady's influence was noticeable. Reports had initially suggested Ben Johnson wasn't even planning to interview with the Raiders, but things shifted, and it started to look like they had a strong chance to land him. Even the Raiders were willing to pay through the nose for the 38-year-old. They wanted Johnson to work alongside minority owner Tom Brady to choose the team's next direction. The one thing the Raiders couldn't offer ultimately led Johnson to choose Chicago. The Bears have a talented young quarterback in Caleb Williams, the first overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, while the Raiders' future at the position remains uncertain, a big factor in his decision to go with the Chicago Bears. You know, the quarterback position is critical, and when you have someone like Caleb Williams in the mix, it's hard to ignore that kind of potential. The Bears, while they've had their struggles, now have a quarterback that many people see as a franchise guy for the future. For Ben Johnson, that's a huge opportunity to build an offense around a promising young quarterback. Now, while this is a tough blow for the Raiders, it's not the end of the world. They still have a lot of things in place to build from, and while this setback hurts, there's still a chance to adjust and regroup. The quarterback situation is something they're going to have to figure out quickly, though, because it's clear that Ben Johnson valued that as a deciding factor. It's just one of those moments where, despite all the moves, a franchise quarterback can tip the scales. So, while the Bears may have gotten the upper hand here, it's going to be interesting to see how this shapes both teams moving forward. The Raiders have the pieces to succeed, but finding the right quarterback is going to be key for them in the long run. The team holds the 6th pick in April's draft, which could place top quarterback prospects like Shedeur Sanders from Colorado and Cam Ward from Miami out of their reach. The Raiders' current options, such as Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, didn't instill much confidence when given the chance last season. Now, there is an interesting situation. The Chicago Bears have interviewed Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken, but they hired Johnson, so now he can be their potential head coach candidate. What makes Monken a promising candidate? When you think about what the Raiders need right now, a guy who's proven he can work with a dynamic quarterback like Lamar Jackson could be exactly what this offense needs. Monken knows how to develop a quarterback's skills and maximize their potential, which is crucial for the Raiders as they try to figure out their QB situation moving forward. What's really important here is his experience with a modern NFL playbook, something that fits with the direction the Raiders want to go in. Monken's ability to adapt and innovate in today's NFL could be a breath of fresh air the Raiders need to revamp their offense. Sure, Ben Johnson was the top target, but Monken isn't a bad fallback at all. He brings a lot of the same qualities the Raiders were hoping for with Johnson: innovation, offensive know-how, and the ability to get the best out of a young quarterback. I really like the idea of him leading the team. In a sense, the Raiders might have found a solid alternative, one that could actually work out even better in the long run, especially if they can land a promising quarterback to go with him. Another name coming up as the Raiders head coach's top fallback plan is former Seahawks coach Pete Carroll, who interviewed with the Raiders in person on January 13th. Carroll brings a wealth of experience with a 170 to 120-1 record from his time with the Seahawks, Jets, and Patriots. Pete Carroll has shown time and time again that he knows how to manage a team, build strong defenses, and develop leadership within a locker room. His track record speaks for itself, and despite the misstep in the Super Bowl with the infamous pass play, he's proven he can handle high-pressure situations. His experience with the Seahawks, especially taking them to multiple Super Bowls, adds significant value to any team looking for stability and proven leadership. In addition, Carroll won a national championship at USC during a successful 9-year tenure. He is one of only 3 coaches to have won a title both in the NFL and in college, joining Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer. While he has a wealth of experience, the question remains whether he still has the same energy and drive to lead a team at this stage of his career. Age is definitely a factor, and while he's been successful, there's no denying that the demands of being an NFL head coach at 74 are different. His ability to adapt to the evolving NFL, especially in terms of offense, will be something to watch. For the Raiders, bringing in a coach like Carroll would certainly shake things up. While some might question his age, there's no doubt that his leadership and ability to win in the NFL could be a huge asset. If the Raiders are looking for someone who can immediately step in, bring respectability, and mentor a young quarterback, Pete Carroll could certainly be a strong option. The question will be whether they're willing to invest in a coach with such a long tenure in the league, and whether his style still fits in today's fast-paced NFL environment. All in all, while Monken might offer the innovative play calling and fresh perspective the Raiders need, Carroll provides a wealth of experience, leadership, and success that could help guide the Raiders through this transitional period. Both options have their pros and cons, but it's clear the Raiders have some solid choices ahead of them as they continue their search for the right head coach to take them to the next level. Speaking of other candidates, the Raiders have sat down with Robert Saleh, who obviously knows what it takes to run a team from his time with the Jets. Then you've got Vance Joseph over in Denver. He's been doing some solid work with that Broncos defense. Aaron Glenn from Detroit has been making waves too, and how can you not be impressed with what Steve Spagnuolo has done with the Chiefs defense? And of course, there's Ron Rivera, who brings that wealth of experience from his time with both the Panthers and Commanders. Here's something important to note. The Raiders are actually all set with the Rooney Rule requirements. They've done their due diligence interviewing minority candidates, which means they could technically pull the trigger on a hire whenever they feel they've found their guy. That's huge because it gives them some flexibility in their timeline. Ultimately, the Raiders have some solid options on the table, but the key is finding someone who can guide them into the future, develop a quarterback, and bring consistency to a team that's been stuck in a cycle of turnover. Whether it's someone like Todd Monken, Pete Carroll, or another candidate, the Raiders have to make the right decision to secure their future. The clock is ticking, and the Raiders can't afford to waste any more time trying to fix a broken system. But wait, there's more, and this is really interesting. The Raiders aren't just focused on the head coaching position. They've been hard at work on Monday, bringing in some promising GM candidates. Brandon Brown from the Giants and Chad Alexander from the Chargers were both in Vegas for face-to-face meetings. That's significant because these guys come from solid organizations and could bring some fresh perspectives to the front office. They've also been talking with Lance Newmark, who's got this connection to both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn from their Detroit days. And then there's John Spytek. And this is where Tom Brady's influence might be showing up. Spytek actually played college ball with Brady, and they've got history from Tampa Bay, where they won a Super Bowl together. That connection could be huge for the Raiders moving forward. So let's wrap this up with the big questions on everyone's mind. What do you think about Todd Monken? Could his success with Lamar Jackson translate to what the Raiders need? Or maybe your team Pete Carroll, thinking his championship experience outweighs the age factor? And let's talk QB situation. Sitting at number 6 in the draft, should we make a big move to trade up or stick to our position and focus on building other areas? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Who's your pick for the next Raiders head coach?